Storm Spirit is still pretty popular and still has a pretty good matchup against Phantom Lancer, all things
Yeah.
considered. Even the other spirits can be alright.
I suppose. The big thing with the Sven especially though is you need the Keeper of the Light to combo together with him, and they've already banned him
Yeah.
out.
What else? Hmm.
RNG's turn to pick.
Crystal Maiden.
I guess we could see, what, maybe like a Lesh come in?
I mean, this could be telegraphing a Storm Spirit pick just with the Crystal Maiden to say that, look, we need to make sure that you're able to just stay out on the map for as long as possible and make a ton of plays happen.
That's true.
Dazzle kind of puts a dampener on that, though, because you're going to be constantly pressured throughout the laning stage, so Storm Spirit's going to have to try and find farm where there is none, basically.
Yeah. Is this looking like just a 4 Dazzle to you? Do you think there's any chance that they're...
It could be a 3, especially in China, they love to play it as a 3.
Yeah, and then I guess what, Pango is the 4 in that case,
Yeah.
and then they've still got last pick for their mid. That could definitely work. I do really like Dazzle with a little bit more farm, with his sort of new... The new and improved Dazzle, though it has been the case for a while with the bad Juju. And definitely a lineup that could just get a couple of early items and go. However, there's choosing to set this up. Okay, so it does end up just being the Lesh.
Yeah. I mean, it's an alright way of dealing with the Phantom Lancer, but if you get him going on you even for like half a second, that's all of your mana gone, you know, and
Yeah.
you don't have the Pulse Nova to continue the team fight.
And they don't have the defensive tools really to protect the Lesh. Like I think these heroes like Lesh and DP and Necro and whatnot, where if they just survive a little bit longer, they've got such low cooldowns or no cooldowns, sort of in the case of the Lesh, that they provide so much extra value. But in this game, they really don't have a whole lot of ways to protect them. I wouldn't even really consider Mars to be good. He's not good peel or good save or anything like that. So they are going to have to worry a little bit if the Leshrac just gets jumped on, what they can actually do to keep him alive. And interesting, even with the Leshrac being picked, I know that Lesh can be run as a carry, but the Storm Spirit is still the ban for RNG.
I think that's fine, you know, thinking Lesh might be a pause 1, I
Yeah.
suppose.
But then their lineup would just be so weird, right? Lesh Mars Storm. I guess you've got some push from the Leshrac, but that would have been such a weird lineup.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Vici's lineup seems kind of weak in everything except, like, area control, basically. You know,
Yeah.
Leshrac obviously very, very good in fighting in enclosed spaces. Freezing Field needs that to get a lot of damage done. And then, of course, Mars with the Arena of Blood. And Ogre's just there to support along the way and kind of be that frontliner to set up that sort of situation.
Yeah. But going to be tough, especially if this is a 3 Dazzle and he gets, like, Greaves and, even a Pipe. There is just going to be so much sustain getting pumped out. And Vici, what is the mid or safe lane pick that's gonna do what they needed to do in this game? Okay, just gonna go for a Kunkka. So like also kind of okay against the PL, sort of. I like the survivability from the boat with their lineup, but very just sort of early run at you, lots of team fight from Vici. I think hoping to take over the game before the Phantom Lancer really becomes too much of a threat.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and the Kunkka does give them that little bit of pick-off, I suppose, if you're able to catch someone out with the X marks. Again, it's very much the situation of area control. It's great to have the boat in a small area. If it does go that late, which, I mean, I think if it does, it opens up the window for Vici to try and come back into it as well, is the Torrent Storm. Great in small enclosed areas.
Yeah, the catch is just going to be kind of unreliable,
Select your heroes.
I think. Oh, and is it now Dazzle? Okay, so it is Dazzle 3, just the Lina mid. I was wondering if it was like now Dazzle mid and Lina was just going to be a 4 and Pangolier 3, but never mind. What's this Lina pick about? Is this just the laning matchup more than anything?
I think they just, the laning matchup, yeah, it's always really useful to have a ranged hero against the melee, but just to be able to push out these waves that Leshrac or Yang might be trying to push out and enabling the rest of your team to just not be punished when you start going on the offensive, and you come online relatively quickly. So I think the timings fit really well with RNG's draft.
Excuse my squeaky chair.
It's all right. We got to make do with what we have, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's not a cheap chair, so it really shouldn't be so squeaky. I feel like there's probably some maintenance I'm supposed to do, but God, everybody is a particle abomination this game. We've got particle effects at the wazoo on every single hero, so you know it's going to be a good game. As a result, I'm with you with the argument for the Lina, but we haven't seen so much of this hero recently, and it just to me always has that little bit of a worry of. And I think my main worry for RNG's lineup in general is just where's the beef? Where's the front line? They really don't have a whole lot to do if the team fight gets brought really heavily to them, at least before the PL has a couple of items. Once we start talking about PL later on, sure, that's fine. I think he can be the front line and be the scouting with the illusions for the team, but before that point, maybe a bit tricky.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure onto this Pangolier especially to make that sort of stuff happen, to create a lot of that chaos within the team fight so that, the PL, the Lina, they can make a lot of stuff happen. So if Vici are on point with their positioning, then they should be able to make the best of this early game. It's just a matter of if it gets to this 20-minute mark, PL is able to get a decent amount of farm, get a couple of those key items that he needs, then they're going to look to try and snowball something.
I'm just trying to think if they could have taken something that's like a harder counterpick to the Kunkka. I guess the risk that you run in that situation is then things that are hard counterpicks to the Kunkka are not necessarily good against the Leshrac, so you would run the risk of like Kunkka just going safe lane and then they send the Lesh mid. So I guess the Lina's a good middle ground there, where good matchup either way.
How about like the Razor? I feel like that's pretty decent as well.
Yeah.
Lesh needs to be near you to do a lot of damage, and it's pretty good against the Kunkka.
Yeah, I think Razor definitely could have been good. I was thinking like the kind of the Monkey King sort of thing, and that's definitely good against Kunkka, but not good against Leshrac. So let's see what happens here in terms of the bounty runes. Does seem like it's just going to be a bit of a 2-2
A lot more
split.
relaxed than
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah, not a whole lot happening. We'll have a look at some starting items, Do have Orb of Venom over on the Pango. Setsu.
We do have a headdress this time.
Yeah, Super's opted for the headdress this time around.
I think that's fine. I mean, how many taggers is he shared around? I think it was one from each of the supports that got given over to the mid lane.
Yep.
So he's still got a couple for that top side of the map, and just opting to go for the Mango and one Ironwood branch as opposed to the Clarity.
You are playing against the Crystal Maiden, so you know it's going to be pretty spammy up here. Both just because of the Crystal Nova and the Arcane Aura coming through, so I think they'll get good value out of that. A little bit of damage being traded down at bottom. DY just getting in there, and PYW trying to defend his courier in this man fight with Super. Mona is getting pushed back. Yang not really coming over to help his friend. Super, he's looking in the trees, he's pinging that, I don't know, he definitely got one hit on the courier here. And he's just chasing after the Crystal Maiden. PYW does manage to uke him for now, as the lane is getting really heavily pushed in. Double range creep right out of the gate. But Yang with the level 2 might be able to put on a bit more pressure. See how well Monet does into the tower.
He's opted to go for the Ring of Basilius as well, instead of any sort of burst damage. So like, for example, 3 mangoes can be very useful to have, especially when you're comboing together with a Mars. If you get one of those spears off onto a tree, then it's basically a guaranteed kill, and a first blood can go a long way in a game like this against a PL.
Yeah, so it's just going to be kind of sustained spam. Oh, push back on Super, but he's going to be okay. So how well, I guess the Lesh does use the Arcane Aura really well. Oh, PYW looking kind of dead, maybe. One more touch. Super does manage to bring him down, but Yang finds the turnaround kill, spears him back over onto the tree. Will be a 1-for-1 trade, though, heavily favoring Super on the gold there.
Well,
and still battling up here. Nobody's got a salve, so everyone's kind of low for now. There's also a ring of regen on the Phantom Lancer. So this looks like this is just the Monet way. Let's just buy this value ring.
And you're going to have the Lich coming back now as well, so you've got that headdress now, giving him the passive regen 2, sitting at about 15 when he's got that Tango popped, only at 8 when he doesn't. But he's alright with it, you know. Super as well, realizing that there's going to be a lot of spam coming out from this CM Mars combo, so opted to go into the magic stick instead of maneuverability, for example.
Right, Ori is spamming Torrent like a madman on mid, just because he does have that extra Arcane Aura regen. Always going to be nice. A little bit of an interrupt on the stack here for September. Is he going to try and drag the wave? Looks like they are content to just keep up with the pressure down here on the bottom side. But now pressure onto Flywin. Sept not really there to help out. Could go for the two-man Swashbuckle. And they just look for some turnaround damage instead. Swashbuckle through, just force the Ogre all the way back. And so far, fairly even laning stage across the board. Plenty of farm going both ways. Actually, a lot of CS on Yang. Not too surprising. He's stealing some of this small camp here as well, so that's inflating things a little bit.
They're happy to, with this Arcane Aura that he's going to probably start maxing out on PYW, you would think, just continue to try and make a lot of stuff happen, especially against this squishy Lich, get a lot of their early farm from that, because it's always going to be hard to contest a PL with his great laning potential. Ooh. Phantom Rush.
Nice X, nice stun from Setsu, will not be able to steal away this Invis, however, tries for the courier, but unfortunately an uphill miss. Not going to do it for him. He will get the consolation prize of snagging this Observer Ward. And his bottle was only getting delivered right now anyway, so he was really just trying to stop Ori from getting the refill.
Consequence to that failed gank means that PYW has been able to pull this through. Will Super be able to interrupt it? Looks like he will.
He's trying to drag it back. Damage onto Yang. He's actually been left out on an island a little bit here. Not that much help. They didn't realize that the Lich was coming over. PYW a little bit late to the party, and Super does just finish it off with one more nuke. Nice kill for RNG.
Yeah, a little bit of lack of communication, abusing the fact that CM not the fastest movement speed. Lich, the speediest one himself, but still 20 faster.
And Lich just that little bit stronger in some of these early trades, especially when you go for the 1-1-1. It's super heavy mana, but definitely really nice kill potential coming in. And he does manage to battle back the Crystal Maiden to grab the bounty there. Setsu also going to come over, get a little bottle refill for himself. So RNG taking the early net worth lead as we cross the 5-minute mark.
PYW's just put down another Observer Ward just right where they de-warded it previously in the mid lane. So.
I guess they haven't seen it yet, just relying on the fact that they don't have vision over here. But yeah, and really needs to de-sentry. And I don't think he's got one coming out or anything like that. So Setsu spots that. It's going to be a pretty sad time. Ooh, Yang getting looked at up top. Super just throwing a bit more damage his way, as we do have a battle for this 6-minute route. September over here trying to protect it for the Lina. Stun coming out from DY, and he will be the one to grab the haste. Actually, it thinks about throwing a few more shots onto September, but he just heads back out. Yang getting gone on. Pump faking the spear. Will be able to get the push back onto Monet, but not getting a ton of help. PYW really just spending a lot of time lurking around the mid lane.
Yep. I think this is very much standard to build, you know, the 1 point in Bulwark, so valuable right now. Monet might be in a bit of trouble. Able to just double gang her away, but yeah, I thought he might be prioritizing that wave push potential, but he's been left alone by CM a couple of times now, so he needs to make sure that he's able to tank up a lot of this aggression that's coming his way.
What do you think the Mars is going to go build-wise? There's not that much incentive to get a Vlad's this game, I suppose. A bit of dive action at bottom. Eurus, maybe not as tanky as he was hoping, does have the stick charges. Puts the damage onto September. DY wants to chase this one down, but it will actually just be the creeps finishing it off. Super finds the turnaround, so it will just be a 1-for-1 trade as Eurus TPs his way back to the tier 1 tower.
Super sitting 3-1. He's definitely not going to have any of the same issues that the Lich had last game, finishing, I think it was 0-12. So, I'd be surprised at all to see him sitting at that level 6 right at the 10-minute mark. So, he'll be happy. And, I mean, on RNG's side, that'll give them a lot more of this early game pressure that they're happy with. In terms of what Mars might try and get, maybe a pipe could be quite useful for them to have.
They messed up the bottle refill for Eurus. It's really unfortunate. I think DY's inventory was just too full of other items that he was bringing bringing the
Put it in
left.
his backpack.
Yeah. That sucks. Oh well, at least he's still got decent mana, and he's of course got the Arcane Aura helping him out a little bit, so that's gonna be good. Dazzle going for the Necro 1. Good damage on this top tier 1 from Yang and PYW, just putting on the pressure. Of course, have to make that kind of a play when you see the rotation happening bottom, and Monet is actually ready just straight into the jungle, farming it up with his Phantom Rush. Looks like he's going to be going for a Hood at some point. So it's not just a casual Ring of Regen this game. He's going to be building it up.
And that's the thing as well with Mars, you know, you can so easily push out these towers, and you don't mind too much because you're able to contest, you know,
They want Setsu, not going to get the best chain stun here, but they do have the boat also coming in. Dive continues, Lena's dead, but 3 heroes here. Flywind making his way through. Eurus trying to chase down Super, but taking a lot of damage back from Monet, giving as good as he's getting. They're going to try and drag him into the tier 2. He does get one last pulse out, finishes off the Lich. So 3 for 1 so far. Monet trying to juke it out, or he's still chasing after him, and Monet realizing that he just has to commit, but DY, he will not be fooled, and does get the stun onto the PL. That's 4 dead so far on RNG. They think about going for Flywind, but Ori just going to go back and focus on the tower, and Vici taking a big win at the end of the day.
not even needing Mars to be there at that team fight. So he's continually able to push out this top tower. I think there was a full wave of creeps that got denied underneath the tier 2 on the top side. So it's just going to extend the lead even further for Vici.
Should they have been more ready to defend that? Like, just losing the Lina for free, I guess maybe a somewhat unexpected rotation from the Lesh, but it pays off in a big way for Vici.
I mean, that's the thing. You would think with the Lina you would be in a more commanding position to be able to try and turn that around, but Kunkka, to his credit, he's sticking kind of level in terms of the experience situation. 10 minutes approaching, they're trying to contest the top side.
Yeah, they really want this outpost. If they could get it, they'll be able to deny a lot of experience, but not going to happen this time around. The big damage now coming Setsu's way once again. Dragged back into the boat. It also catches the Lich, so they have the chain stun. Maybe not the best pushback from Yang. Actually going to give Setsu the opportunity to grab a little heal off of Flywind. Can they finish the Lina? He's still bottling up. He gets the damage onto the Kunkka. They will still lose Monet in the midst of all of this. And now Yang getting slowed down on the way out. Spear does shove back the Pangolier, but Super still chasing. He's got the Frost Shield in a second, and the other slowdown. Gets up onto the high ground. The Necrobook still chasing. Yang at least going to get this bounty rune, still limping away. Could maybe get the Bulwark going. Needs to be careful with that Spear. Heading over towards the Necro minions, but in the end, still going to be decent for Vici. What happened to Phantom Lancer and all of that? Did he just get, did he get solo killed at bottom?
Maybe. Let me have a look.
I think he died to Lesh, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, that's not good at all, and I don't think the Ogre Magi was there for a lot of it either. Just looking to leave Eurus on his own, and at this stage of the game, pre-Diffusal Blade, he's able to do, a lot against this Phantom Lancer, who hasn't even started going into his boots build. He's gone
he's gone for the full hood. That seems so weird to me. Like, surely Treads just helps you farm so much better. And it's not like you need all the HP regen. You've got illusions to tank. Trying to make an attempt on this Mars. They really want to make some kind of use of the Rolling Thunder. Damage onto the Dazzle. Yang doesn't have the arena just yet, but it's only 7 seconds away, and RNG, this is really not their most effective gank. Crystal Maiden's also coming over, looking for a little bit of a turnaround. DY still just lobbing in these stuns, and now PYW is here. They do need to watch out. The Lina's coming up the river, and that should be the end of Yang. Setsu with the nuke brings him down. Pangolier, can they keep him alive? Nice stun coming in from the Lina, keeping both the Pangolier alive and grabbing the kill on the Crystal Maiden. DY now trying to hide inside of the trees. Setsu, he's been brought down these last couple of team fights, but finally getting something on the board for himself. And this Mars Courier in a bit of an awkward spot. But it does take one auto attack, and that's going to be the end of it. Eurus trying to make some use out of his Yules, but does not want to run up blind onto this high ground.
Yeah, you can tell he's just finished it up. He's taken the tier 1 objectives that he needs to, and now it's time to start pressuring into the Dire jungle. We can see the Necro Book as well. Finished up onto Flywin. He's looking to continue to pressure forward and try and make something happen with it, but you just sense that the next 8 or so minutes is the timing that that Vici Gaming are looking for with this completed up your scepter.
Yeah, very nice timing, and then they're also working towards Radiance on the Kunkka. So that's still going to take a little while, but Ori is farming pretty quickly towards that. And you have to imagine that that plus maybe the pipe on the Mars is like the real timing here. Damage on Lina. Once again, RNG, what can you do to save your mid lane? Setsu doesn't really have a whole lot of mana, so even if he survives, I don't know what he's going to be able to do. They're going to Yules up onto the Dazzle, keep him out of this fight, prevent the saves, prevent the heals, and Mars also picks up the Courier as collateral. He's getting chased down by Monet, but this Phantom Lancer is just not doing any damage, and Yura's still with plenty of mana, looking for his opportunity to come back in here. At the very least, they've got the Necro Books and the bad Juju stacks kind of keeping Vici at bay, but they are still looking for more, and no reason to back off as Lina dies yet again.
It's just another one of those little situations that the smallest details can make a big difference in the team fight. The Yules delivered at the very end of that gank, which was very good. You know, it let him start living for another 2 or 3 seconds. But as a result of that, it freed up some spots in his inventory. He actually had his full 5 charge raindrop stack in his backpack. And so you could have probably got off, you know, 1 or 2 of those within that team fight and lived.
Man, that is really unfortunate. And it's so hard to watch because they just, once they get gone on, again, the team fight just completely collapses. There's nothing to save the Lina. You were calling it out as, you know, the Pangolier really needs to be getting some really good value, but he's just a position 4. Hard for him to really get a bunch of value out of the Rolling Thunder without any items, without really any survivability. RNG getting pressure back. Setsu once again dragged into a somewhat awkward situation. They're trying to bait out his Yules, but he is not being tricked. Just gonna wait that one out.
I mean, yeah, it's a rough game for the Lina just based off of how he's been playing it. Oh, another team fight.
Yep, a little bit of lockdown onto the Mars, but he's still pretty tanky. He did get his hood popped. Flywin trying to find an opportunity to get up onto the high ground. We got the full Beyblade action, but September just forced to retreat now, and Eurus in more than fit fighting shape. Yang just might look for the run-in with the arena, but no real reason to take this fight right outside of the enemy base. They've already got the tier 2 tower, and I doubt that they're going to be taking a tier 3 anytime soon.
I mean, they're going to be happy with just pushing in this mid lane, you would think. You've got Ogre sitting down this bottom side, who's going to be soaking up a lot of this experience. You shouldn't need him for the next team fight, because Rolling Thunder's still on cooldown for another 30 seconds. So, as we were saying before, what frontline potential does that leave them?
Yeah, they're trying to tank up a bit more. Dazzle's picking up a hood. I'm going to be building into a pipe shortly after that, but still going to take a little while. Mars is just going for a Sange currently.
This'll come in handy.
But the big thing that Vici waiting for, of course, is this Radiance on the Kunkka. Oh my god, they got a Nether Shawl as well.
Pretty juicy. Kind of sucks against the PL though, right? You don't want to be taking a lot of little hits.
I guess, but if you're the Lesh, like, is PL actually going to be hitting you? I think we're getting to kind of an imbalance, perhaps. So I guess the Lesh isn't that tanky yet, but if Lesh just gets a little bit more tanky, or he gets a BKB, I think he can very confidently take the Nether Shawl and not really have to worry too much. Especially if he gets the boat buff. Like, he's gonna win the man fight.
Yeah. I mean, they're feeling very confident. They're able to shove out these waves with relative ease. You can see RNG finally. The Vici have taken their foot off the pedal, at least in terms of pushing and trying to catch out Setsu. They're trying to make something happen now. Got Dazzle, who's gone into this 4-0-4 build. That means he's not able to save any of his cores in these team fights. Really just needs to focus a lot more around the pushing potential if they're going to try and claw their way back in.
He's farming a bit with his Necrobook. I don't disagree with the 404. I don't know if in many of these fights the Grave would have really done very much. Like a lot of the time, the Lena's either been already like almost out of mana or just so out of position that the Grave really would not have been able to do very much. But I also don't think it's worked out the way that they were hoping in terms of being able to rally with the Dazzle and go for pushes and, you know, take out these early towers. So somewhat reminiscent even of the previous game with the sides reversed, right? We had this Dragon Knight and Beastmaster and just couldn't take the tier 1 mid for the longest time, just based on the way that the early game start went.
I think it would be value to have the 1 point in the Shallow Grave, though. You know, there's been a couple of times where Lena could have lived if she just lasted for a couple of seconds longer. And as well, like we were talking about, it's just been this team fight heavy style of matchups. So it just didn't really fit in with what I feel like their overall strategy was going into this game.
Oh, super. Well, you got the D-ward, friend, but I don't think you're getting out of here. You're just gonna get a very quick kill. Is Radiance getting delivered now as well? Looks like it. Yeah, that's Radiance coming out. So I don't really think they have too much more to wait for. Of course, Eurus would love to finish up his Bloodstone, but he can fight for that as well. He's got an Invis. Oh, they do get a Yules onto this Kunkka. They've got a little bit of lockdown. He is quite tanky, but also the auto attack's coming through. He gets the boat out. Now Eurus is going to try and 1v3 this. That's 1 kill so far. Monet's still pretty tanky. PYW coming in with the Glimmer Cape is going to be able to help out a little bit more, but Flywin doing decent damage. DY charges forward. Yang trying for the save. They won't get Leshrac out of here, and this is a great fight for Monet if he can continue to just charge on forward. Looking towards Yang. They look towards DY. Sept does not have his Rolling Thunder available, but they get the slowdown with the disarm, and they will still be able to muscle down the Ogre Magi. And finally, as they get the Phantom Lancer online, RNG fighting back a little bit.
Yeah, getting a little bit overconfident. You know, as we mentioned before, with what they had in the previous game, everything was onto the Morphling, right? And so if the Morphling died, there wasn't really all too much they could do about it. Same thing with the Slark. Well, all the damage potential just melted right there on Vici Gaming's side. Kunkka, freshly built Radiance, gone. Leshrac, gone. Where's the damage come from?
Yeah, the minus armor with PL is actually really scary. I guess that's the other thing with the Nether Shawl, is you got Nether Shawl on top of all of the minus armor from the Dazzle, and then PL is slapping you, which is a very unfun situation. We thought about the Rolling Thunder there at mid, but Yang's going to be able to slink away. So I guess they take a second on the side of Vici, maybe finish BKB on the Mars. Eurus needs this Bloodstone, and I think he might even need like BKB after that.
They're going in on Yang.
Shivas or something. Oh, Yang endangered. Does get the arena out, but just too much damage from this Phantom Lancer, who is now building his way towards an Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, don't mind it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So no cooldown, no minimum distance on Phantom Rush. I guess it is a lot of damage if you're keeping the buff going constantly.
I think he's just trying to get away from this Leshrac as many ways as he can, you know, like, yeah, you can do it with the Manta Style, and yeah, you can do it with these other crazy things, eventually maybe get a Flicker or something like that, but it just enables the early game potential, and you get a decent amount of stats from it too, so your illusions are just going to become inherently stronger.
So you were talking about it a little bit earlier. What's the, in terms of timeline, do you feel like there's a point where RNG are clearly stronger? I know you mentioned that, you know, maybe late game with the Kunkka and the Leshrac, they kind of rally back a little bit, but what sort of timing were you imagining there when you were talking about that?
Well, it's hard to say. It's so delicate, right? Because you're up against a PL, and any situation where you're against a PL, you don't want to go late game, because as soon as he hits his, you know, level 25, and even before that, he becomes an absolute menace. Kunkka starts to drop off a little bit until you can get, you know, your one-shot crits that are able to go onto people, or create a lot of this harassment around these team fights with things like the Torrent Storm. And so I don't know, it's a bit of a balancing act as to who's going to, I suppose, not just hit their timings, but hit them at the same time as the rest of their team's
This is not the best
lineup.
time to fight if you are RNG. They don't have their Lina at all, really. Monet in pretty deep, and they've isolated the Lich. They will get the Grave onto him. Should be able to get his spells off. Super. Just taking his opportunity to lob out absolutely everything. Eurus is up on the high ground. Happy to collect that Bloodstone charge. They've mana burned out the Mars, and now Lina has been able to TP back, get some mana, get that BKB, and be in better shape to take this ensuing team fight.
Yeah. You have to wonder, do they want to take this, or are they just trying to secure it for Monet? You can see the RNG hero sitting off to the right of him. He's only 300 or so gold away from finishing up that Ag Scepter, and when that happens, Lich will be alive, he'll be relatively fighting fit. You would think the Chain Frost would be a lowish cooldown by that point. It'll be time to go, especially considering the Mechanism and Necrobook and Pipe that have been completed up by this Dazzle. It'll be go time.
Yeah, these PL illusions are actually going to be pretty difficult to deal with. From Vici's perspective. Like, they have a decent amount of magical damage, but the sustain is only really coming in from the Leshrac. Mars walking forward, Yang. A little bit of a mistiming there on the stun from Setsu. I think he was trying to get it exactly perfect, but...
might be a blessing in disguise. I think you wouldn't want to overextend onto a Mars who's as tanky as this one is.
Yeah, they're poking, they're prodding, Monet coming forward, just trying to finish off his item. Does have it coming out on the courier right this second.
Axis
Immediate
here,
smoke from, RNG, looking for something. Yang seems to suspect what's going on, though.
I love it. He just stands on the front side. He knows he's not going to be able to get bursted down.
Yeah, there's really no way. He should be able to get the BKB off no matter what. Gonna throw down the arena, sends the Pangolier packing. Do they have any follow-up damage? They found the Crystal Maiden in the backlines. Monet just jumps over the arena. He's focusing on the DY. The minus armor is absolutely shredding them. They do get the stun over onto the Pango. Yang still fighting there, but it's too much for the Lesh. They turned around and just obliterate Eurus. Now Kunkka doing what he can, but he's also being oomed, and this Phantom Lancer is just going ham. They will end up losing the Pangolier. Monet needs to be somewhat careful of the freezing field. They finally got Mars isolated in the backlines, couldn't get out even with the BKB, and Monet chasing for more, will be looking for a triple kill. PYW with the Glimmer Cape survives a little bit longer, and RNG will take a second to back up and reset, but phenomenal fight for them, and the Leshrac just melting.
Yeah, melting, and I mean, that's the thing. RNG, they don't run out of juice as much as Vici does. You know, once that Leshrac has lost his mana, or he dies, like he did in that instance, where does the damage come from? Yeah, you've got the Radiance on the Kunkka, but if you only have to deal with that, it's a lot easier prospect. They had to pop the Arena of Blood much earlier, and then you've also got the Mechanism, the Pipe, and just having a Dazzle on your team with these constant bad Juju stacks continuing to pile up.
Yeah, is the Dazzle just the killer ingredient for RNG here? Like, I know that there is some nuance to the PL versus Leshrac matchup, but Lesh has just been getting obliterated in these fights, and I suppose that the Dazzle is also keeping the PL illusions alive and really giving him a lot more damage output as a result.
Well, I think right now all Eurus really needs to do is finish up that BKB. It's rough for him.
Yang, BKB getting forced out.
8 seconds left on it. Starting to tick down. You can see here Vici are trying to take these team fights and win them nice and early on. Orb of Destruction popped onto the Mars. They need to be able to pick off one of these heroes before RNG are able to regroup and turn the game around.
RNG... Oh, Setsu gonna get bashed? No, alright, he's fine. A little bit of lockdown onto Eurus up top. I don't know if he has any easy way out of this. He's gonna pop the Bloodstone heal. The rest of the team is trying to make its way over, but Setsu is holding onto its stun. Eurus just juking for dear life. Setsu's actually used his BKB, so he's now a little bit vulnerable. Eurus with a two-man stun, gonna keep the Phantom Lancer locked down, buying himself a couple more seconds. Now Yules as well, also living. Ori coming in, BKB popped, he wants Setsu. They've got DY trapped in the middle of everything. They pop down the arena, but Setsu's still running for it. They will drag him back with the X marks to spot Monet. Sizing up his options, blink across from Setsu, but right into the waiting arms of PYW. And they will find that kill. 2 for 2 trade overall. Looked like it was going to be Eurus just dying absolutely for free, but did put out a lot of value just by surviving for so long.
to be able to turn that around for his team is enormous. Again, they took the fight on the top side of the map, so you would think maybe transition into Roshan if it went a bit better for them, but this PL surviving is such a huge deal for RNG as well. You're going to have that Phantom Rush range, so the synergy at level 20 combined with the Aghanim Scepter is going to be enormous.
Do you like that he's continuing to buy just these small items like the S and Y? Is it...
Actually, no, you shouldn't go into the Phantom Rush range, my bad. Considering it removes the the max distance, right?
No, it removes the min distance, so he can
yes.
he can activate it no matter how close he is to you. So in theory, if you're constantly activating it, you should always have the 44 bonus agi. But you know, it's not that simple. You can see him right now. He's like kind of stutter stepping a little bit to keep getting it going.
Yeah. Just a bit of a misread, a bit of a boomer brain moment.
That's right. It's fine. Ooh, Radiant Scan. POW going to come in here, give a little bit of vision. They will have a Torrent in a second, perhaps, as well. Freezing Field there. Boat also ready. Can they maybe get the steal on this with the Freezing Field? No, not quite. September just going in with the Rolling Thunder, making some space. But Yang is also in there. They've killed off the Lich. Monet standing his ground, fighting. He's still got the Aegis. He finds his target over onto DY. They don't quite manage to land the stun on the Phantom Lancer, and now DY in danger. Though this Lina in too deep. Setsu does manage to get the BKB off. They've also got the Grave there to help out. Monet not doing the damage just yet. Actually losing a lot of life. Can they focus down the Leshrac? That's what they need to do. Auto attacks from Setsu, but he's getting run at. They finally bring down the Lesh. Nice stun onto Yang. Setsu still playing around. There is another Grave to keep him alive. That Spear not going to be enough. Monet's found his target. This is his second life, but he's beyond godlike. He's brought down the Kunkka, and now they might be even looking for a little bit more. Super's chasing after Yang. Sep gonna try and cut him off at the pass. Doesn't quite get in there, but Monet's found his target. They've also got the slow POW with the Glimmer Cape. Now he's the new target. Monet is just going all the way in here. No way out for the Crystal Maiden. TP attempted from the Mars. He is just going to get out with that. But Phantom Lancer looking very scary in these fights.
Yeah, able to transition through now onto this mid lane. Forcing the Glyph out of it. Yeah, the longer these team fights go, especially now, we keep talking about the sustain that RNG have. They picked up the Paladin Sword as well for Monet, so he's able to stand in on the front lines, and really it's just the limitation of Dazzle's mana. That seems like what the limiting factor is for RNG's side, but you know, he's got some good mana regen coming from the Necro Book. He's got the Arcane Ring, he's got the Arcane Boots for himself. Just allowing the rest of his team
now
to
the target. Spear's not going to do anything, just latches onto the illusion. They have managed to isolate the real Monet, but can they bring him down? Stun is actually on cooldown. Yang gonna stay focused, but Flywind's there with those heals, though like you said, now he's a little bit low on the mana. Monet actually choosing to go back in, looking for yours. He's gonna get stunned up. Kunkka's holding the front lines. He gets the BKB off. No chain stun from Sep. The spear backwards. Monet able to reset one more time. He does get caught by the X marks the spot, but he's surrounded by his teammates. And Vici do need to head back to the fountain to lick their wounds, heal up a little bit, get the mana, and RNG. Are they going to be satisfied with just the tier 3 tower? Looks like they are going to call the retreat. Flywind probably telling them, hey guys, I'm a little bit low on mana. Let's take a quick breather. But Vici quick to get out of the base and try and make some moves.
Yeah, even finishing up these Guardian Greaves onto Flywind as well, so he's going to be, if he's caught, for example, by the Crystal Maiden, still perhaps get away from a lot of these heavy engagements. They've caught out the Lich.
Okay. Not the best timing there. Glimmer Cape comes off. September's also here. Looks like we might just have a full-on team fight on our hands. PYW in a bit of danger. Won't be able to get off the freezing field. Another dragging Mars up the hill. Not where Yang wants to be. Gets a Laguna Blade to the backside. Monet in pretty deep, but Eurus doesn't have the mana to really keep on fighting. So Monet just going to chase on after him. Look to bring down the Leshrac. Nice torrent. Buys a couple more seconds, but I just don't think Eurus can juke his way out of this. Beyond Godlike continues for Monet as RNG looking for this last kill, and they get the full 5-man wipe straight into the GG.
Yeah, when the mana's gone on the Leshrac, that's when it's all over. And you know, you have to say it's a lot easier to keep your mana going as a Dazzle as opposed to a Leshrac who needs to be using that Pulse Nova to try and make something happen against this Phantom Lancer. So yeah, really nice draft, really nice coordination from RNG. Looked a little bit shaky right towards the very start where Vici were always on the front foot, preventing them from grouping up and doing this death ball style, but in the end, it was able to come through on RNG's end.
Yeah, they killed the Lina a bunch in the early game, and it looked like Tetsu was just going to have a pretty miserable time. But as soon as feels to me like as soon as the Phantom Lancer got like his first 2 items, and then the Dazzle picked up the pipe, that's when things started to look really, really difficult. And I guess I didn't really feel the impact of the Kunkka to a certain extent that game, right? Like, he got the Radiance, and then they took that fight, and he just immediately melted. Didn't really look that tanky. I guess all of the minus armor was really... To me, it feels like the Dazzle won in this game, for sure.
Yeah. I think it was just the case of the overconfidence in that fight, because it was actually Vici's game to begin with, as it should have been at the very start. You know, you've got a lot of strong heroes that aren't really too reliant on items, and so when you finish this key timing that you've been saving up for with the Radiance, you want to make sure that you're able to make something happen out of it. But it was just these 2 cores that were dealing out all the damage that went in alone first and got picked off, and from that one small mistake, RNG are able to turn it around.
All right, folks. Well, we've got ourselves Game 3 on our hands, so we're going to head to a quick break. We'll join you back here in a couple of minutes for Vici versus RNG here in the CDA League.